First off, I want to say thank you for even coming by to this video. And if you are really interested in anything Battletech or MechWarrior related, I say please go check out Tex of the Black Pants Legion on YouTube. I'll leave this link in the description. He's hilarious. He knows his stuff. He knows all the lore. He even does detailed 2-hour breakdowns on just mechs. Here's one of his videos.
We here at Comstar want to thank you, the customer, for your kindness in these uncertain times. While the inner sphere has never been a place of certainty, you can know that Comstar has your back in even the worst of times. Worried about financial futures? With this C-bill, you can rest assured that we have full control of the financial situation at any given time. We aren't just another bank. We are the bank. You can count on Comstar to provide uninterrupted communications throughout known space, and rest assured that whenever you call, we are listening. After the Battle of Tukid, most of you became aware that yes, we as Comstar possess extraordinary security forces and vast military projection power. Do not be alarmed at this, for we here at Comstar are armed for your benefit. And if you doubt that, I will remind you we sent the clanners packing, more or less free of charge. Because in the end, the only thing more dangerous than a warrior culture is us. Comstar, your friendly telecommunications company. And if you doubt that, well, fuck around and find out.
Welcome to your primer for MechWarrior 5 that drops on Steam, GOG, or Xbox as today on Game Pass. So, let's just drop right into it. If you're not familiar with Battletech or MechWarrior in general, here's what you're going to have to know right off the bat. Your star map, or the factions within this game. You are definitely going to have to get used to them. You're going to have to know their traits, their strong points, their weak points, and everything in between. Not in great detail, but just enough to know who you might want to have on your side and who you might want to cross off. Starting from left to right and going around in a counterclockwise motion, we had the Lyrian Commonwealth, also known as House Steiner. We have the Free Worlds League, House Merrick, the Compelling Confederation, House Leal, the Federated Sons, which is Davian, and then we had a Draconis Combine, which is literally the Draconis Combine. Yeah, I know, they decided to just stay the Draconis Combine. But of all these, when you start the game, you will start in Federated Sons territory, House Davian. You will work your way around this whole entire inner sphere. You will make friends, you will make enemies, but as a mercenary, your job is to get paid. Make your alliances and get paid. So if you have to betray your friend, do it. Now let's talk about something that you're going to become very familiar with very quick, and that's going to be your mech bay. Your mech bay will literally house and store every single mech you collect along your journey. Whether it be a salvage mech or mech you have as a pet project or whatever it may be, you'll have your drop mechs, your mechs in storage, and all your armaments. You can, once you get fit out your mercenary group, you can add more pilots. Every pilot has certain skills and certain subsets of skills, whether they prefer to be long range or short range or somewhere in between. You'll have to find the perfect mech that fits them in their playstyle. Now your own character within this world is going to basically develop how you play. So if you're more of a laser heavy type person, your laser proficiency will increase. If you like to mix and match, you'll get the best of all the worlds, so you'll never be caught out in a gunfight that you can't win because you decided to take a damn spider mech against an Atlas. And yes, that is possible for a spider mech to take out an Atlas, but more about that later. And along their way, you're going to take into to these battles 4 classes of mechs. First off with your lights. Your lights, they're your scouts. They're your quick hit and run artists. They're your freaking saboteurs, if you want to call them saboteurs. They're the people that you wanted in just to see what is over that hill and then run back without ever being detected. Light, fast, and mobile, but lightly armored. So don't expect them to go into any fight with a heavy or an assault and come back alive. It's just that it's not that type of life for a scout mech. Or should I say, not a scout mech, but a light mech. Ranging anywhere from 25 tons to 35 tons, these suckers can run all the way up to about 75 kph, while the slowest one is relegated to about 15. We don't talk about the urban mech. The urban mech is a walking trash can, and we don't drive trash cans in this universe. Unless you're really brave and really stupid, or from Terra, from the state formerly known as Florida, then maybe, just maybe, you drive an urban mech. And I mean that. Maybe. And next up, we have the mighty medium mech, the backbone of most all house forces within the inner sphere. Medium mechs are probably the most common battle mechs that you'll find out there in the field in any lance. Regardless of the size, regardless of the house, you will always find a medium mech somewhere. Unless you're House Steiner. Because there is no such thing as light, medium, or heavy when it comes to House Steiner. They only choose assault. Medium mechs come from anywhere from 40 tons to the heaviest being 55. They're heavily armed and moderately armored, so they can take a pounding while also dishing out a good amount of damage. Can a medium mech go toe to toe with a heavy? Yeah, they could brawl it out, they could duke it out, depending on how they're outfitted. Could they go up against an assault if an assault was pretty weakened already? Yes, they could, because they definitely have the speed advantage. But would you want to go up front against a heavy or an assault and a medium mech? Maybe if you're a supremely brave pilot, you would, and you know that you can outgun and outpilot the enemy. But most people would probably just prefer to roll the medium mech as is and keep it alive, because the medium mech can be a great all around mech for a beginning mech pilot. And now on to one of my favorite classes, the heavy mech, ranging anywhere from 60 tons all the way up to a grand 75. These these are what we call the fighters. These are what we call the long range artillery support. These are what we call your enemy's worst nightmares. But even then, their worst nightmares don't compare to assaults. Heavy mechs are some of the meanest mechs you could possibly see anywhere in the galaxy or in known space. These mechs will look you dead in the eye and shoot a PPC right down your throat without even thinking twice. If you're lucky. Because you could go against a catapult with two LMR 20 racks and they just shoot you for days from a mile away and just laugh and laugh as they missile boat away your whole platoon. And a couple of lances at that. So if you're a person that likes destruction, go get you a heavy. You'll love it. And now for my all-time personal favorite class of battle mech, the assaults. Oh, the assaults are so lovely, so grand, so terrifying. It makes cities just quiver in fear whenever you see an assault walk up, ranging anywhere from 80 tons to a grand, I say, 100 tons, with the mainstay being the Atlas AS7K, a favorite of House Steiner, I may add, because their scout squadrons are usually all compromised of Atlas in all their variants. These are pound for pound, or should I say ton for ton, the ultimate weapons on any battlefield and the ultimate weapon of any lance. Usually piloted by lance commanders, these things come with an assortment of any freaking weapon you can imagine that you can strap onto it. Whether it's LRM 20s, SRM 6, Streak SRM 6, dual PPCs, AC 20s, LBXs, Rack 10s of LRMs, 5 LRMs. Heck, in some cases you can even Frankenstein 5 large lasers, 20 racks of LRMs, and a PPC for good measure, or switch out the PPC for a Gauss cannon if you want to. Assault mechs are an ultimate force of destruction on the battlefield. But they come with one caveat. They are also one of the slowest moving objects on the battlefield. So if you got an objective that's far off, don't plan on getting there fast. You'll probably get there safely. You just won't get there fast. Alright, let's pick this Atlas. We're gonna go in and we're gonna paint it real quick. Yeah, that'll that'll do. That'll do. But anyway, get to know your hard points, folks. Every mech comes with them. Every mech is built differently. Some mechs are all laser focused, some are mixed, some are all ballistic focused. Know your hard points. Know the sizes of your hard points. If you have a large hard point on your mech, a large hard point can hold anything that is a large hard point weapon of that class and below. You can slot in a medium, you can slot in a small, whatever. You can slot in whatever you want to in that hard point. But if you have a medium hard point or a small hard point, you can only slot in something that is equal to or lesser than. So you cannot go slotting in a Gauss rifle on a medium freaking ballistic slot. It's just not happening. Make sure you carry in a lot of heat sinks and make sure you take in a lot of ammo for your ammo based weaponry. Also, and this one is important, make sure you know what you have on your mech and how you want to group your weapons. PC, you can easily do this on the fly, even before, even while in the middle of battle. You can go and change it on the fly as far as your weapon groups. And I'll explain that later because there might be a chance you will lose weapons, and you're going to have to adjust your weapon groupings based on when you lose weapons. Um, but most people set it up in the hangar beforehand, so it's already pre-mapped and ready for you to go. So there's no mistaking what you're firing when you get on the battlefield. If you're the type of person that's going to have lasers and only lasers, it's good to have these suckers staggered and not all firing in one weapon group. And the reason why you don't want that situation where every single weapon you have fires at one time, that is called an alpha strike. Alpha strikes are extremely, and I mean extremely devastating. But they can also cause you to overheat if you're not careful. Depending on how your mech is built, this is why I said earlier, make sure you have enough heat sinks. If anything, I'm telling you now, make sure you have enough heat sinks in your mech. If you can afford it, have heat sinks. So my general rule of thumb when it comes to your weapon groupings, any like type weapons, group it up with that same weapon. For example, on this Atlas AS7K, I have two ER large lasers. I make that my primary number one go-to weaponry. Right behind it, we have the Gauss. That is my number two. The number three or number four, I can interchange them. That's going to be my missiles. Those are going to be my play it safe, keep at range, and harass them with 20 freaking missiles raining down from above. My number four will be pretty much my backup to number one. If number one goes down, I still have number four. Those will be my medium pulse lasers. You always group them according to how you're going to use them. You never group something that as your primary as a one and you're not going to use it that often. Always know what you're going to use. So if you're going to use these large lasers, make sure they are set on your triggers to be when that's the first thing you pull, that is what you are firing. Now, you can also chain fire, and what that does is, let's say you have a target and you just want to constantly put pressure on them, you can chain fire. It'll fire them one, two, one, two. That doesn't fire them both at the same time. It just hits them one, two, one, two. And you can set it for every single weapon group that you have. Okay, so enough of me rambling. I know y'all just like, okay, but where's the gameplay? So let me set up a team real quick. We're gonna skip around, get a little balanced team, a light, medium, a heavy, and me as the assault. So let's go on and get into it. And we're gonna pause it just for a little bit, just to explain what's on your hood exactly. And I'll casually go
Reactor
through and label
online.
everything so you'll
Sensors
actually know
online.
what I'm talking
Weapons
about whenever I point
online.
it out. But
All systems
this is going
nominal.
to be your view, and yes, you can play it in third person. You'll see it in the gameplay. But this is your primary view. So in just a second, we're going to stop. We're going to pause it in just a second and just show you everything. Alright, so here's pretty much your basic 1, 2, 3 layout of what your hood is going to be. Segment 1, you're going to have your battle mech's status, current speed, and heat output. Every different segment that you see on your mech can be damaged, so pay attention to that. If you start getting damaged too much on your right side, start using your left side to spread out that damage. If you have a valuable piece of equipment on your right side and you do not want to use it, I suggest you start rotating and shifting around and let that left side go. There are specific mechs, mostly the Centurion, that literally has what we call a dead arm. It literally has a shield on it. So if you want to keep your vital components intact, use that dead arm to your advantage. Two, you have your weapons groups. Again, you can do all this on the fly if you want to, but on this, it gives you a detailed breakdown of what the cooldown, the range of the weapon, and how much ammo you have. Laser weapons, you do not, energy based weapons, you don't have to worry about ammo based weapons, you do. Also, know if you get hit in certain parts of your body that contain your ammo can explode. Three, this is where we had a team status, just a general overview of the team's health situation, your compass, and the groupings of which ones you can individually order or group orders. You can tell them to go scout, follow you, or just hold a certain line, and plus you also have your mini map on display at all times with you, which you can expand, but I would just say leave it as is. Now, for the sake of this video, we're going to speed up the process and just go to two main little scuffles that I had. First with a good little tank group that showed up. And as you can see, I'm already taking some damage on my left and my right side. And it's showing you where I'm getting hit or where the AI is targeting. Now the thing about the AI in the game is if they know you are critical on one side, they will start targeting that side more often. This is why I said if you see that you're having a weak spot starting to grow on you, it's best to start rotating and spreading out that damage so they don't hyper focus. Say like, let's say you got a little light mech that's just constantly harassing you and pinging you in your legs. Your legs are a vital part of your mech. It can literally make or break you in some situations. If they hit you in the legs enough, they will cripple you to a hobble. So it's best to make sure your legs are intact because you can literally lose half your speed off of that. So we get through this tank. I take a little bit of damage. I still have my armor. My internal frame is fine. But now we get to the point to where we're actually going to face off against our target. This is going to be Lance versus Lance. Me, a Lance commander, versus pretty much another Lance commander that we were sent to assassinate by a rival house. And the one thing that I did not mention earlier, there is a fourth segment that you will have to pay attention to, and it's right on your top right. You might have seen it for a split second, but it's pretty much the counter version of your own status or your health, your personal health status of your battle mech. It's the enemy's health status. And this is where a little bit of strategy comes into play when you actually start your campaign and you want to start picking apart certain mechs, and maybe possibly once you get within a good enough faction reputation to where they'll start allowing you to take more salvage off the battlefield. This is where knowing where those mechs might be weakest at will help you a lot. Just like right here, I'm going against a light mech. It's not a big deal. And let's say I needed one. I see he has some heavy damage on his legs. So what do? I start aiming for more of the legs, or in this case, I just take him completely out because he was pretty much a done deal. But this one, I was like, okay, he's running around me, I can't stop him. What's the one way you stop a light mech dead in his tracks? You hit him in the legs. I hit him in the legs, it instantly cripples him. And remember when I said pay attention to the heat? Yeah, I didn't pay attention to my heat. Now I actually do it again because I'm so aggro right now, I'm not paying attention. Now, you can override that shutdown. You can manually override all shutdowns. It is highly ill-advised just because, just like whenever you take damage from actual opponents, you take what we call internal damage if you override and you don't let your mech cool off. This is why I said it earlier in the video. It is important that you have a lot of heat sinks on certain mechs. Mechs overheat depending on the environment as well. If you are on a highly, let's say a planet that has a lot of magma flows, or a magma based biome, if you will, your initial heat output just outside of your mech being on, it's absorbing heat from the environment. So if it's a hot sunny day, you can expect your mech to run a little bit hotter than if you were in, say, a rainy day, just off default. Now normally that wouldn't matter, but in extreme conditions where you have differences between hot and cold that ranges somewhere between like negative 32 degrees and like 150 degrees on the external temperature, it makes a difference. It makes a difference because you cannot dissipate heat in certain situations. Now when it's cold, you might be a little bit more aggressive on the lasers just because that heat will be able to dissipate into the atmosphere quicker, because heat just goes to the coldest source, and when the coldest source is outside the mech, you'll see that heat drop down really quick. So we're nearing the end of this mission. We're pretty much ready to extract. We got one more target to kill in his lands, and it just so happened to be a catapult, which is one of my favorite mechs outside of the Timberwolves and Direwolves, and mostly any bipedal mech that can carry two LRM-20 racks. Yeah, any one of those, Timberwolf, Mad Cats, all of those are pretty much like my favorite mechs of all time when it comes to Battletech or MechWarrior. And I know what you're probably thinking, why haven't you brought up Mech Assault? Nobody but clanners bring up Mech Assault. We don't speak of Mech Assault. Mech Assault is a hollow video game. It is a fan fiction. It never existed, it never happened, and it never will happen. Because we just don't roll like that in the Innersphere. Not saying that their mechs are bad, we're just saying we don't like clan or scum around here. There's a reason why Smoke Jaguar is no longer around. But anyway guys, we're near the end of this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed the gameplay. Hopefully I gave you a little bit more insight, a little bit more detail about what you'll be doing. And always remember, politics matter in this game a little bit. You will make allies and you will make enemies, and sometimes those enemies will become allies. It's just all based on what they are paying. Remember, you are in it for a paycheck. You are not in it for some political game and fame and fortune. You are literally there for a paycheck and to grow your mercenary crew into the best you can. And as you can see at the end of that mission, we got a breakdown of everything, and when you're doing your campaign, you'll get a breakdown plus repair costs and how much your client may be willing to pay. So at the end of the day, this Stealth Guy Gaming, and I'm gone.